Hi there, Chris here with another fresh tip for you all. This is really for you patrons, I guess, because this is a 4K patron only, so this is just for you guys, and this is basically part 8 of painting the Primaris Outrider, and in this one we're just going to take a quick look at painting the eyes, as someone had asked about painting the eyeballs after the flesh video. Contrast snakebite leather is the first one we're going to use. Now, normally we could also just simply use black in this instance. You could also simply use black Templar, as it will flow very nicely, even on Null Oil, or just very simply breaking down Abaddon Black and using it in the same way. But I'm going to use snakebite leather because I'm going to push this not quite to black, and I really just simply want a darker tone there, deep brown. Very, very carefully, we've drawn a lot of the contrast out of the bristles of the brush, and as you can see, we just simply come in and basically run this around the entirety of the eyeball. Now, if you get a little bit overzealous and lay a little bit too much down into the eye socket and into the eyelid, that stuff, do not worry. We will clean that up later on. And in fact, in this video, I actually don't show quite a bit of what I actually had done because there was just, so much back and forth at some points. White scars next, with a generous amount of water in the bristles to thin the color out ever so slightly. I draw it along my palette just to bring it to a nice point and then begin laying it into the eye. And this is mainly onto the eyeball itself. Now, the sculpt also has that lower eyelid as well, so we will pick that out later on as well. So the eye is actually fairly small on this guy. Now you can see here, I tried to do it on camera and I ended up getting too much on that other eyeball, and so I was like, oh man. Bummer. But anyway, we can fix it. We can rebuild it. Snakebite leather is back again, and we're just going to simply draw this through our palette, and we're just going to clean up some of what we had previously done, especially with laying a little too much of the white down onto the eyeball. And you can even see how we've pretty much killed a lot of the white in there, and so I kind of opted not really to return to white scar again, and I ended up laying white scar into the eyeball one more time. I'm going to take Inky by Darkness with a generous amount of water in my bristles and thin the color out ever so slightly, and I'm basically going to create the iris of the eye. Now, when creating the iris of the eye, you can barely see it there, I basically draw the point upwards so that the point is downwards, and I bring the brush up and create the almost looks like a curvature to the eyeball. I don't really kind of stab it straight in. I actually bring it down a bit, and really what I'm looking to create is more of a triangular type of shape, because that when you go through later steps, it actually looks kind of like a curved shape. Now, you can pretty much leave the eye as is. That's pretty big and it's kind of cartoony. So we're going to come in with some Kislam flesh with a bit of water in our bristles just to thin the color out. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to just draw this along the bottom portion where the eyelid and the upper cheek are. And also we're going to clean up the upper brow as well on the other eye. Now, I don't show a lot of this on camera because, well, it's very difficult to get to those angles and actually have it look good on camera. So unfortunately, it's pretty much the same procedure. I just simply thin the color out and draw the brush into a nice fine point and begin laying the color down. Now, I also end up laying some more color down. I use a little bit of the Bugman Glow and Cadian Flesh Tone to reestablish some of the shadows and the high points and things of that nature along the cheek and everything like that, and getting those eyes looking just right. And actually, he's got a bit more of a squintier look to his eye, which is kind of a little bit more natural looking here. I'm just demonstrating that I'm using Bugman Glow just to create some shadow. I use a little bit of Lamian Medium just to thin it down, and of course that is just simply to just ease of control. And I also use this to reestablish some of the shadows, but basically and it's in the upper brow, because where some of that snakebite leather was just a little too intense. It kind of looked like he had what is that, like eyeliner on the eye. It had like this really dark rim up there. You can kind of look at the other eye and you can see how it's a very like a contrast versus this eye. Now the eye on the right hand side of what we're looking at is a little easier to get to, whereas the eye on the left hand side was a little bit more of a pain. And in fact, the footage that I had shot of painting on that side of the face really didn't turn out because the gun and just the positioning of the model, and so really a lot of it had to get scrapped. And otherwise I was kind of a little bit disappointed in that, but I think you guys get the general gist. It's basically lay that dark color down, put the white in, and then lay a little dot of a particular color. You could also use black for the iris. Black is pretty straightforward, and at this scale, you really can't see, you can't really tell the difference in the eye color or anything like that. But here you can see I've just reestablished some of the color around the eyes, made those eyes just a little bit smaller, and they're not quite as big and cartoony as normally get. And that's really the key factor, is coming back in with your flesh tone and reestablishing the lower eyelid and reestablishing the highlights on the cheekbone and anything like that. But don't worry if you make any mistakes, because again, once you just lay that initial pattern of the eyeball out, you can always come back in and draw it back. This was for you guys, so here's all your names going by. Big thank you to everybody, and hopefully you guys enjoy these videos, and take care of those brushes. They will take care of you.